Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville's regular council meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 9th, 2013, approximately 7 p.m. If we'd all kindly rise for the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mayor Cinco?
Here.
Mr. Erb?
Here.
Dr. Griesbach?
Here.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Here.
Mr. Johns?
Here.
Mrs. Allison?
Here.
Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Ramsey?
Here.
Mrs. McKinney?
Here.
Mr. Zunich?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you see on the schedule, it's a certification of Monroeville Volunteer Fire Company Number 4 tax-free loan status. There was a public hearing, and I'm going to turn that over to our solicitor. So, Bob, if you would.
Okay, very briefly, number 4 has a closing coming up very soon on the 12th of July. One of the documents we need to provide the bank to assure that they get their tax-free loan is proof from the municipality that they approve of the status of Monroeville Volunteer Fire Company Number 4 as a tax-free entity that provides a public service to the community. And this document that I've prepared that's part of your packet is the same as the document that I explained at the work session. The only thing that I added between then and now is I added a sentence that makes it absolutely clear that the single purpose of this approval is to assist the fire company in qualifying for the tax-free loan. And that's the sole purpose of our participation. The volunteer fire department is doing this all on their own.
Motion to approve. Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
To all the fire department folks, good luck with your project. Council, moving over to the approval of the minutes of Citizens Night of May 9th, 2013, Council meeting of May 14th, 2013, Citizens Night meeting of June 6th, 2013, and Council meeting of June 11th, 2013. Are there any additions or corrections at this time?
I'd just like that we ask, Mr. Mayor, that we separate out the May 14th from this, either take them all individually or take the 14th. I'd like the ability to approve all of them, except I disagree with the characterization that Dr. Griesbach wanted added to the 14th, so I would like the opportunity to say no to that one.
Can we approve them as is, as we originally got them?
I think that would be the same. Therefore, would you approve them as submitted?
Wouldn't he have to make a motion for
Tuesday.
an amendment? If there's no motion for amendment, they would be as they originally were.
I think he asked for an amendment on Thursday, though.
I did, and it was actually provided by Sharon. Everyone got the email,
Draft.
the draft.
Right. And I sent an email back that I sent to Mr. Zunick to address this.
I think that maybe Mr. Erb's suggestion is appropriate, and that is if there's no objection or question about the minutes from May 9th, June 6th, and June 11th, the motion could be made to approve those, and then any discussion that we might want to have on May 14th could occur thereafter.
Well, then I move to approve the minutes of the May 9th, June 6th, and June 11th council meeting, Citizens Night.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Okay, in regards to the May 14th, 2013 council meeting, Mr. Erb, you have some issues with that. I will certainly open the floor up for you.
Or do we make a motion for the amendment first and then discuss?
Bob?
Well, I just want to set the stage because between last week's work session and this evening's meeting, I received an email from Diane Allison with 2 versions of the minutes, and I wondered if everybody had those versions.
I do not.
Is that the version that Sharon
The
gave?
copy I sent you was what Sharon sent everybody.
Okay,
There was
well-
not 2 versions, it was only
Bob, why don't you
Sharon.
read them into the record, the
I
2 different
distributed
versions?
them to council in their packets on
And I
Friday.
scanned them and sent them because Ms. Attorney Zunish didn't have them.
But you did not see them, am I correct?
I didn't see the revised copy.
Okay.
It was in the packet.
Maybe read that into the record, the 2 different, so we can get this issue addressed.
Sure.
Bob.
The 2 versions of the appropriate section of the minutes that are at issue involve the motion to adjourn and the vote taken thereon. The first version that Mr. Griesbach questioned was as follows. Whereupon Mr. Erb duly made a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:06 p.m., and Mrs. Drumheller and Mrs. Allison seconded it. Upon a roll call vote, the motion carried with 4 affirmative votes and 2 negative votes. The voting was as follows. Mr. Erb, Mrs. Drumheller, Ms. Allison, Mr. Ramsey voted affirmatively, Dr. Griesbach, and Mr. Duncan voted negatively. The second version, whereupon a motion was abruptly made by Mr. Erb to adjourn the meeting at 8:06 p.m., and Mrs. Drumheller and Mrs. Allison seconded, Mayor Arasinko indicated they had a right to do it, period. Mr. Smith commented about freedom of speech and stated that he had a right to speak. He was hopeful that voters were listening because he had a lot to say and that he was being denied the right to speak at this council meeting. Upon roll call vote, the motion carried with 4 affirmative votes and 2 negative votes. The voting was as follows. Mr. Erb, Ms. Drumheller, Ms. Allison, Mr. Ramsey voted affirmatively, Dr. Griesbach and Dr. Duncan voted negatively.
You're a doctor now. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hurry up and approve it.
I have a comment before the discussion, and maybe that will resolve the problem, maybe it won't. Having reviewed Robert's Rules of Order again since last week, my opinion hasn't changed. A motion for adjournment is a priority motion that takes priority over anything else. And the method of operation should be when a motion is made to adjourn, the collective body of council, when the presiding officer here, the mayor, can discuss that or make comment on it, but all other business should cease. So what I think is appropriate, and again, I'm just suggesting my interpretation, and certainly subject to discussion by this body, and a motion can certainly be made to correct the minutes to whatever the majority is of opinion to. But I think what should be added to the version above is that because the mayor is the presiding officer, it should say Mayor Arasinko indicated they have a right to do it, and then you proceed to take the roll call vote, and whatever the roll call vote is, that's it. But I think the comments by Mr. Smith were outside the scope of the discussion that was focused on the motion to adjourn, and really should not be part of the record. That's my opinion, but again, it's subject to 4 votes by council.
I don't want to make a big deal about it. If we revise it to that, I'll accept that.
How about if we, because I agree with what you're saying, Mr. Zunick, what if we were to change it to whereupon, during Mr. Smith's comments, a motion was abruptly made by Mr. Erb, and then leave it as you suggested?
Well, I'm not,
Well, maybe not, Maybe I
I
suggest that to
think,
the
I
body.
think that the word abruptly is somebody's opinion. I don't know that it necessarily fits there. And as I've already offered my opinion, I think that the motion to adjourn takes precedence, and Mayor Arasenko's comments are germane to that process. He acknowledged that they have a right to do it, and that certainly is part of the process since he's the presiding officer. But aside from that, I think the comments are outside the scope of what that motion is. That's my opinion.
I would take that advice from you as counsel.
My 17 meetings that I've attended, or 18 or whatever, we've always allowed the people to speak towards the end of the meeting.
There's no question
So I
about
would say
that.
this was abruptly ended.
You're making an interpretation. We can say.
Well,
that
the
we can
interpretation
add-
is that
we
we've
can add
always allowed.
Mr. Duncan rudely interrupted, or angrily this. We can start adding that. These are, minutes are just
That's
supposed.
fine.
Well, then you are asking the stenographer to make psychological interpretations, subjective interpretations.
The only thing I'm saying
She's
is
just here to
we've
record
always
the
allowed
words.
the residents to speak.
If
And
the
this
word
time-
abruptly,
This time we denied it.
if the word abruptly is the problem, once again, we could go back to whereupon, during Mr. Smith's comments, a motion was made by Mr. Erb.
I'll talk to you about 5 years' worth of having the occasional abrupt motion and gavel. And of course, as we go around with reports of the officials, the last person to give their report is the mayor. And if you'll go to 2009, September 8th, you will see an example of an abrupt motion after the comment. There was end of it, there was a motion, there was a second, and it carried, and that was the end of it. It followed abruptly. I could give you other examples of an abrupt closure of the meeting. It was a closure of the meeting. It, as Robert's rules indicates, can vote if the, isn't it necessary to summarize matters discussed at a meeting in the minutes of that meeting in order for the minutes to be complete? Answer. Not only is it not necessary to summarize matters discussed at a meeting in the minutes of that meeting, it is improper to do so. Minutes are a record of what was done at a meeting, not a record of what was said. And that's Robert's Rules, 10th edition, page 451, 25 through 28.
So if we're going to talk about what was done and not what was said, I think that we're on the right track with things. We can strike the comments that were on the draft of Mr. Smith's comments, which we could say that falls outside the scope of the meeting. And if we're going to talk about what just happened, what did happen was a motion was made during a resident's comment time. And if we could indicate the minutes that way, I think that's fair.
I don't know the urgency to include business outside of the motion second and how it carried, so I would go with our solicitor's
Well,
advice.
it wasn't business after the second of the motion. It actually, Mr. Smith, a resident, was commenting.
Well, that was something that happened after the motion and second.
No. He was standing at the podium making comments, as
Yes,
any resident has to.
I realize that.
And then the motion was made. So during that resident's comments, a motion was made to end the meeting.
Right, and-
Which means that this resident was not finished speaking. His
That has
time-
nothing to do with the minutes.
Yes, it does. It has a lot to do with the minutes. It's what
It's pretty
actually
clear
what
from
happened.
reading the dialogue that it occurred while he was making while he was having his time at the podium.
Mr. Smith was speaking prior to the adjournment.
Not only is it not
But it's
necessary.
clear from reading the minutes as they were originally submitted that the motion was done while he was speaking.
Ask Mick if he wants to.
It's not necessary to summarize matters discussed at a meeting. It is improper to do that. Minutes are a record of what was done at a meeting. If I really wanted to make a point of this, it would be with the June 11th minutes that I voted to accept. Because if I took a look at page 9, I could see on page 9 that there could have been more explanation in the last sentence here. He made some suggestions to Mr. Erb concerning Election Day, and further discussion ensued. I'm willing to go for that. Discussion ensued. I know what that further discussion was, and if I would like to witness what that further discussion was, as awful as it was, I would probably need to go to the library and check out the DVD. But I'm willing to concede he made some suggestions to Mr. Erb concerning Election Day, and further discussion ensued. That's the summary and it gets no further than that. And
I got a
so I'd be
question.
willing
I
to go
got a
with what our
question.
counsel
I
says.
pretty much understand, I think we all understand, that Mr. Smith, we keep talking about him, was basically told to shut up, go sit in his seat. Why are we making such a big deal out of the minutes? I'm
I
just all
have no
confused.
idea.
I'm not, I'm just saying, I
I'm
just
just
wanted
confused.
I just wanted-
I'm fine with the revision. I'm not,
I just don't get it.
Then if nobody has issues with revision, is there a motion on the floor?
I move that we accept council's advice on the revision.
You want to read it?
You want to read it again?
Sure. Whereupon, Mr. Erb duly made a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:06 PM, and Mrs. Drumheller and Mrs. Allison seconded it. Upon a roll call vote, no, I'm sorry.
That's the
Right,
original.
right after that sentence, we would add the sentence, Mayor Arasenko indicated they have a right to do it. And then, upon a roll call vote, the motion carried with four affirmative votes and 2 negative votes. The voting was as follows. Mr. Erb, Ms. Drumheller, Ms. Allison, and Mr. Ramsey voted affirmatively. Dr. Griesbach and Mr. Duncan voted negatively.
And I want to interrupt for just a second before my phone starts ringing. I was out of town during that meeting. That's why my name's not there.
There's a motion, is there a second?
It's still a discussion, correct?
Well, wait, I need a second before we go
second.
to discussion. There's a second.
Second.
Discussion.
So we're not stating that the meeting was ended, and that the resident was told to sit down, correct?
we never told him to sit down.
Well,
That would be additional.
In the middle of his speech,
But
he was
That's
just
clear
cut
from
off.
reading the minutes that he was speaking when the motion was made.
But it's not going to be put into the attachment, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I don't even have a problem, personally, if we add that Mr. Smith was speaking. It makes no difference to me.
Well-
I simply, the reality of the thing was, he was making political statements towards an election. The decisions had already been made by both the people that were supporters of what he was suggesting and people that were supporters of things that he's not suggesting. The reason for carrying on things that we had already heard, hours upon hours upon hours of information, it was unnecessary for all of us. It was a waste of everybody's time. It was a waste of the time of it was, because he was not he was restating things that had already been stated time and time again for the months leading up to that. So for him to rehash the same thing politically, and this is not a political forum, this is a council meeting. It is not to be a political forum. Therefore, I ended the meeting. And I have no problem that we put the word in that he was speaking. It makes no difference to me. If we want to add that, I have no problem adding that.
I agree that this isn't a political forum, but we also didn't know, I mean, not only did we cut off Mr. Smith in his comments, the meeting was still going, there were other residents here that did not have the opportunity to speak, that could have had the opportunity to speak, and the meeting was ended before, anyone got the chance. Yes, Mr. Smith happened to be the one with the microphone, but, it's also to discuss further as far as none of the residents that were in attendance had the opportunity after that to speak.
I understand that.
That's the point I was trying to
And
make.
I do have to make one comment, Bern, and it has to do with, I agree, this is not supposed to be a political arena, but that was not the very first time that ever happened. In my going on 6 years here, that's happened many, many times.
What
So,
happened?
people have gotten up there and used that podium for their political gain as well.
There's been political attacks against residents, not against council people.
No,
Okay,
I'll
well,
disagree. It was political attacks against, well,
If,
it won't the first time. I don't want to get into no formal discussion on it. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other, and by the way, I'm
I
sorry.
would ask that we amend the motion in the second with Mr. Dr. Griesbach's recommendation that Mr. Smith was speaking. He was speaking. I don't have a problem with that.
I would second that amendment.
We had a motion and a second to do yours. Now we have an amendment, a motion and a second, which takes priority. The amendment.
The amendment, take a,
Roll call, Sharon, please.
You have a motion and second on the initial one.
Yeah, he just said that the
amendment.
it's a motion to amend.
which takes priority, is what he said.
The motion that of your suggested amendment was the one that was on the floor. There was
After
a,
several minutes of discussion,
yes.
Mr. Griesbach or Mr. Erb made a motion.
I did.
And there was a second.
To amend.
I think we ought to end the discussion, but with a vote.
On which,
On
I would-
on the
I would-
addition of Mr. Smith
On
was
the
speaking
amended
when Mr. Erb duly
motion to the
motioned.
amended motion.
is this in order then?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb?
Yes.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
No.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
No.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey?
No.
Let's go back to the first motion. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Some point of clarity here.
All right, point of clarity, go ahead.
I want to know, go.
The point of clarity was that this was the originally interpreted amendment by Counselor Zunick. Whereupon he read,
One, two, no, we had enough to pass it up. Oh, I'm sorry, we did, that is passed.
That is for,
I miscounted, my fault, 4-3, I apologize.
No.
Yeah, it's the amended, that Dr. Griesbach and Mr. Erb, their amendment to the amendment has passed.
So we're voting, basically,
correct.
the first vote was to
Amend it.
amend this amendment.
That is
So we are
correct.
voting on this amendment, which has already been amended, to add the phrase that Mr. Smith was speaking.
That is correct. That's why I'm kidding.
I didn't mean to make it this big of a deal. I just wanted to be able to say,
Get a motion
I don't
in a
know.
second.
at any rate, I believe we're past the approval of minutes.
We're done.
I thought we were done, too.
Are we going to vote on this
we
one?
have to vote on,
Yeah, we do have to do, I need a motion on the amended,
We already had that.
okay, roll call then.
Mr. Ramsey?
What are we voting on exactly? I don't
Is the
understand.
motion that Mrs. Drumheller made to accept
Council's.
solicitor's advice?
The one he read into the record?
Correct.
To strike some of the comments that.
That is
in the
correct.
draft.
Thank you.
Right.
And we agreed
Sorry,
that-
folks, I'm a little, I
And then
think
we
we're all
added,
confused.
then we added that while Mr. Smith was speaking, so whereupon,
So we voted on the amendment to amend something we didn't vote on in the first place.
Correct.
now we're voting on what we just amended.
Yes.
And perhaps we could read the whole thing for the council and listening audiences.
One more time, Bob.
I hope I get this right.
So do I.
Just add Mr. Smith was speaking someplace.
Okay.
This is not.
How about I do this? As Mr. Smith was making public comment, Mr. Erb duly made a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:06 PM, and Mrs. Drumheller and Mrs. Allison seconded. Mayor Arasinko indicated that they have a right to do it. Upon a roll call vote, the motion carried with 4 affirmative votes and 2 negative votes. The voting was as follows. Mr. Erb, Mrs. Drumheller, Mrs. Allison, and Mr. Ramsey voted affirmatively. Dr. Griesbach and Mr. Duncan voted negatively.
Okay.
Is everybody happy?
I've been happy the whole time.
Okay.
You started off with
Mr.
Clarence.
Ramsey?
We're going to vote again?
Yes.
Will you accept that?
No.
Yes, I accept the amendment.
Mr. Duncan, yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Allison?
No.
Yes.
Mr. Johns? Yes. Mrs. Drumheller?
No.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr.
Yes.
Motion passes. Hallelujah.
Now, that's the amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're right.
Burning daylight.
All right, let's move on to our approval of our reports of our tax collections. Any other additions or corrections? Council. Seeing none, motion on the floor.
Motion to approve the reports of the tax collections.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
On payroll report, any other corrections or additions? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
Motion approved payroll submitted.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach,
Aye.
Mr. Erb.
Aye.
And moving on our list of bills. Any other further corrections or additions? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
Move to approve the list of bills as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb,
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach,
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mrs. Allison,
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey.
Aye.
On budget transfers, any other additions or corrections? Motion on the floor.
Move to approve budget transfers.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Ramsey,
Aye.
Mr. Duncan,
Aye.
Mrs. Allison,
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach,
Aye.
Mr. Erb.
Aye.
Moving over to the vacancies on our boards, commissions, and authorities. Are there any other nominations or appointments, council?
Yes, Mayor, I would like to nominate Craig Koza from Koza Enterprises to the Convention and Visitors Bureau Board. For the last vacancy, we finally have this, we'll have this filled.
Is there a second?
Mr. Koza also has a lot of businesses in Monroeville.
Sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Diane, you have another one?
No, I don't, thank you.
Mayor, I just have a question, if I can ask.
Please.
On the Human Needs and Resources Advisory Board, they're active again, and I believe there are 3 vacancies. My question, I'm not sure who to ask, is that ward sensitive?
No,
It is not.
It is not.
It's
So if we have
the
someone that wants to
municipality.
volunteer to get on that, we can do that.
That is correct.
Because I've had a couple people call me, and I wasn't sure what the answers were.
No, it's
Okay.
not a ward sensitive.
All right, thank you very much.
Once again, council, any nominations or appointments? Seeing none, we'll move over to proposals and bids.
Yes, the first proposal is a proposal for our library HVAC proposals. As council recalled at the Thursday meeting, we opened the one bid that we received from FIT Optimized Solutions for $164,300 out of Windberg, PA. The bid was in order, 10% bid bond was received, and we have a letter from the consultant actually confirming that it was a good bid. I'm looking for council's approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, just one comment. Ms. Fusco had commented that this was under budget at the Thursday meeting, so that's a good thing. And it'll be something that will save the library money over time because they really need this improvement. And a lot of the improvements, if you haven't been at the library, they've done a lot of things recently to increase the energy efficiency and to increase the enjoyability of the facility for residents.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Ramsey,
Aye.
Mr. Duncan,
Aye.
Mrs. Allison.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mr. Erb.
Aye.
Lynette, if you would.
Yes, the second item is surplus vehicles and a copy machine. These are the items in the municipality that are actually extra items or items that we put out after we're no longer using them. The bids were concluded on July 2nd. We're actually taking the high bid on these items for a profit to the municipality of $12,104.
And again, we discussed this at length, council. Any other, well, I should say, motion on the floor first.
Move to approve that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach.
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller.
Aye.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mrs. Allison.
Aye.
Mr. Duncan.
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey.
Aye.
Thank you, Lynette. And right now, we will open up to public comment on agenda items only. Agenda items only. At the very end, as you all know, we will have another opportunity for public comments on anything you want to address council. But right now, this is agenda items only. Yeah, anything's on the agenda.
Linda Gatos, I do live in Monroeville.
Did you sign in, please?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
On the ordinance, as far as taking the interest from the bond and how that's going to be distributed. I forgot my notes exactly, Ms. McKinney, on how you had said, but if I recall, there was $80,000 allocated for a phone system.
Yes.
Is that going to go out for bid, or is that exactly what that's going to
No,
cost?
no, that'll go out for bid.
Okay, and then you talked about some kind of backup system that failed.
UPS system?
Yes.
For $30,000?
Yes.
Yes.
Did I understand you say that there had not been maintenance done on that item,
No.
or?
There was not maintenance done
And is
on
there a
it.
reason why? Is there no maintenance agreement?
We actually have a collective maintenance agreement, and actually, no one was really aware that maintenance needed to be done. It's kind of like the car you have at home, you need your spark plugs changed, and nothing was ever done in the last 7 years of that.
Well, would that fall under someone's fault as far as who you have the maintenance agreement with, that they didn't follow up, that it's not going to cost us
No, actually, we have to call
$30,000?
them to get the maintenance performed on it. It was just not known by the municipality that that needed to be.
Well, that's
completed.
because that's a lot of money for something that should have had.
Well, actually, the
being
life of
maintained.
the UPS system is actually beyond its life to begin with. So it's not that the lack of the maintenance caused the unit to fail. It was
But
actually.
it could have lasted longer.
Could have,
Okay.
possibly, yeah.
Okay.
We'll never know that.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
the batteries are new. They're within
Yeah,
4
I
years.
believe the batteries were approximately 3 to 4 years old.
but all of that will go out for,
Everything
bids.
goes out for bid, correct.
Okay, thank
Under
you.
our purchasing ordinance, there's a certain structure for the dollar amount.
okay, thank you.
Once again, we'll open it up for any public comment on agenda items only. Seeing none, we'll go over to our new business. And this is 13-4-ST, number 1 Cochran Automotive. If you'll please sign in and state your name for the record, please. And obviously, who you are with Cochran.
My name's Ray Gusty from Bering and McCarty Gray, representing number 1 Cochran. Just to quickly orient everyone to the Mega Center site for anyone who may not be familiar with it. Route 22 is along the upper part of the drawing here, it runs in the east-west direction. The main entrance and traffic signal is located here. This crosshatched area here is the existing Cadillac building. We have a Subaru service along 22, and the GM building, this shaded brown area here is the proposed location of the Cadillac showroom. I have an enlargement of that area. Again, Route 22 along the top part of the drawing. This light shaded area here is the GM building. This darker shaded area here is the proposed Cadillac showroom. The center of the building will be the showroom and offices. The east side will be service write-up, and the west side will be new vehicle delivery. We kept the service drive around the building the same. Because of some grade changes, we have to raise this light gray section and repave this. We have addressed all the comments from your engineer concerning the site and stormwater issues. I also have an elevation provided by the architect of the Cadillac building. It'll be constructed of the same material as the existing building. If anyone has any questions, I'll try and answer them for you.
And as, again, we did discuss this at length at the, our work session, if you will, and the Planning Commission does recommend approval with conditions, and Paul is here as well as obviously Ray to answer any questions that you may have, Council.
Everything is ordered. Planning Commission did recommend approval with the conditions.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Any other discussion?
I had a question on, I believe there was a underground tank that had a flaw in it for retention. Any idea, was there an intention to follow that to see what made that fail?
Well, it didn't actually fail. There was, we put the 8-foot diameter pipes in, and then we called it an outlet structure. That's where the water all leaves from that point. And there's an orifice plate in that outlet structure, and we found out when we did an as-built that the openings in that structure were a little lower than they should have been, which allowed more water to leave the site than what was allowed. So part of this construction will be to put in a new orifice plate to make the adjustments for that.
Okay, that's the fix, and in other words, it was really not in the proper position there.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Council?
I have a question. This might be outside of the project here, but just out of curiosity, what's going into the current Cadillac building? Are you aware of that?
We
or-
don't know yet.
Okay.
I think Mr. Cochran would like to get another franchise in there eventually, but right now it's a business decision just to get all the GM products under one roof. And he would eventually like to get another franchise in that existing building.
Very good. Thank you.
Once again, any other questions or comments, council? Seeing none, roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Good luck with your project, sir.
Thank you.
Lynette, resolutions, please.
Yes, the first resolution is a resolution adopting the Monroeville Volunteer Fire Company Number 4 sewage planning module. This kind of corresponds with our certification earlier. This is for their project on Northern Pike.
Again, we discussed this at length, council, at our
Motion to
work
approve.
session. There's
Second.
a second. Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Lynette, if you would.
Second resolution is a resolution approving slums and blight at the location of 289 Taylor Street, Monroeville, lot and block 745G201. As council is aware, there was a show cause hearing at 6:30 this evening, and Director Hugus could give you some more information on that.
I think we pretty much discussed that at our work session, unless you have any other questions.
Bob, you want to give us a review?
Let me just say very quickly that we went through the procedure of having a show cause hearing on this particular location, 289 Taylor Street. Nobody on behalf of the owners appeared, and the recommendation of Mr. Hugus is this is a dangerous structure that needs to be demolished, and implementation would take place through the resolution.
Anybody who's ever been up there, it's falling down on its own.
Yeah,
It really
actually,
does need to be demolished.
if you remember, we did this in 2010. This is a redundant resolution. And the reason we didn't do the demolition is because of the roadway condition was dangerous. And we couldn't take any large vehicles up to do the demolition. So by the time we got the road fixed, Solicitor Dice suggested we go through the process again just to cover the legalities of it. So it's sort of a redundant one.
Motion on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Lynette, if you would.
Third resolution is a resolution approving slums and blight at location of 3767 Evergreen Drive, Monroeville, lot and block 745R-80.
Bob, if you would.
Basically the same scenario as the prior resolution. We had a show cause hearing at 6:30 this evening. Nobody on behalf of the ownership showed up to complain about our efforts to demolish the premises. Mr. Hugus went through his testimony stating his reasons why the structure should be deemed dangerous and demolished. And he is recommending tonight that that structure be demolished through the resolution that's before you right now.
Motion on the floor.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? Paul, anything you want to add to that?
No, sir.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Thank you, Lynette. And moving over to the, oh, well, you're going to still do the ordinances, Lynette.
The first ordinance is an ordinance to provide for an amendment to the 2008-2010 capital improvement budget. As we discussed on Thursday, there's a $225,000 in interest income in that account, and we're dispersing it as directed in the ordinance.
Motion to table this ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb?
Should we have discussion first?
We can't.
You can't.
Okay.
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach,
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller,
No.
Mr. Johns,
Aye.
Mrs. Allison,
No.
Mr. Duncan,
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey.
No.
Motion does carry. Lynette, if you would.
Yes, the next ordinance is an ordinance to provide for an amendment to the 2013 general fund budget. This is an ordinance moving the funds around to cover the police hiring costs.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments? Again, we did discuss this at length at our work session.
My question, I don't know if it was answered correct or not, but from what I understand, the salaries of the retired officers should have been sufficient to cover the costs for the new hires and their uniforms and their testing.
Actually, Susan Worksman, our finance officer, is out of town this week, and her department really couldn't get the figures together, so I can provide that to council, but it would have to come to you at a later date. If council so wanted to move it back around at another future meeting, we could do that once the figures were provided. But we're pretty concrete in where the retirees left off and the new hires are picking up. The money is pretty equivalent because a lot of the retirees had their benefits, vacation, lump sums, et cetera, taken out of that salary as well.
Which I understand, but I just felt that the difference in the salaries would be more than sufficient to cover.
Are
the
you making a
uniform
motion
costs.
to table this item?
There's already,
Well, I believe there was a motion to pass this.
Correct.
A second?
Yes.
Yeah, but
Are you voting?
Motion
there?
to table would take precedence.
that is exactly.
I would like to make a motion to table until we get further, till we get the figures.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Ramsey,
Aye.
Mr. Duncan,
Aye?
Mrs. Allison,
no.
Mr. Johns,
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller,
No?
Dr. Griesbach,
Aye.
Mr. Erb.
There's 3 and 3, so I'm not on the deciding vote.
No, it's
No, I'm
4 and
not.
2.
I'm irrelevant.
You're irrelevant.
I'm not going to abstain. No.
Motion carries. And right now, we'll move over to a public comments. Public comments. Again, this is your time to address any issue before your council. And I would again ask, please be professional. Please don't attack anyone. If you have your comments, please direct them to me, the chair.
Linda Gatos again from Monroeville.
Please.
If I could please bring up a piece of paper I'd like you to pass.
Sure.
Please.
And one for you.
Is this something you want included in the record?
And one for you, Bob.
Okay.
Linda.
This is something that I got off the internet earlier today before I came. And it references the packets from the HIPAA that was given out to every person sitting up here in front of me on Thursday night. Obviously, someone from here had to have leaked some of the information. And I was just wondering if anyone would like to speak up and let me know who that was, because this certainly couldn't have been said if they don't know what was in the packets, as I don't know, and I don't think any other resident knows. And so I was wondering if anyone would like to answer that question.
Well, certainly, I'll just make a statement that everybody was cautioned vehemently at
Right.
this council
Correct.
to not discuss this at all. It's very sad. Once again, it was leaked out, and it's on this Monroeville Government Watch.
Mr. Yakin, would you maybe like to comment or read your own words?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, I'm sorry, Linda, you need to direct that.
Oh, I'm
toward
sorry.
me. Again, very sad that this got out.
Well, I know that there was obviously, I guess, a letter last meeting that was brought up that was supposed to be kept between you all for executive session, and that was also leaked. And Ms. Drumheller, you made the motion like, that you had done that.
I'm sorry?
You made the motion to the mayor while he was speaking and said about it being leaked out like,
No, I believe the mayor was trying to, in a clandestine way, say that there's a certain member of council who likes to correct him on Robert Rule. And at that point, I gave him the Queen's wave.
okay, well, I know you gave him a Queen's wave while he was suggesting
And he
that
was
someone
talking
had.
about Robert's Rules of Order, which he knows, and I think a lot of people do.
Someone also had leaked that information as well. So there's
Robert's
a leak
rules?
somewhere, and I'm asking if anybody would like to stand up and say, "It was me." So that's why I made you all copy and hope that maybe somebody was grown up enough to say that they had let someone know.
Well, if you don't know what you're talking about, then I'm not sure how you can address it.
Well, what she's talking about is that we've got leaks up to our eyeballs on what's supposed to be executive session items. This was an item that should have never gotten out, okay? I
So
mean,
how did this person that writes on this website get the information that was in the packet that no one else was supposed to see
Are you
except for
are you saying
anyone
that that
from here
would
to
have had to
here?
have occurred? Is that
Well,
what you're
did you think he just guessed what was in there?
I don't
No, I
know,
didn't
but-
have any idea what was
Why
in
don't we
there.
have our solicitor take a look at that and see whether or not that looks like hearsay?
I don't know what this says, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't either.
And
Well, it's taking a shot at me, but I'm okay with that.
Well, it's
you know.
also, I mean, we're all smart enough to know, we can put two and two together, that this is, this is definitely in regards to the HIPAA information that everyone received, and that is why this came out, so.
Is that what you think?
Maybe, Mr. Solicitor, there
It
should be
don't
an
take-
investigation as to how the
Well,
information
I
got
don't-
out.
I
also deal with, this morning, I will tell you, this morning, there was an article in the paper about about somebody leaving their service revolver on the back of their truck. Maybe it's about that. I have no idea what this is about. I will tell you, and I'll take the shame on me from whomever said it last time, I still haven't read the document. If I do decide to read it, I am going to come into the building. I haven't opened my packet. I don't plan to. And
Well, then I
So
don't know
I
what,
can-
well,
I
I'm
can
sorry,
assure you
then
that
I
I
don't,
didn't
I don't know
make-
why
I'm
you
not a
continue to
police.
sit there then, Mr. Erb, I really don't. If you don't want to take the job seriously,
Well, I do
then I
take it
don't
very
under-
seriously. I
Then you
think
should have,
that the-
you should have went home and read that packet then.
no, I shouldn't have, because the solicitor's
I'm
advice.
sorry, we're probably going to pay $100,000 for that information. You don't find that it is pertinent enough for you to take your time to read what was in there, so that then us, the public who is paying for that as well, can also know? But
you can't
somebody,
know until-
somebody is leaking
nothing can be
information,
said.
that's all there
Nothing-
is to it. The letter that was written in confidence that was given to only you people was in the newspaper, and now this is being written on a website. Somebody is leaking from somewhere, and I'm just asking where it is, because it needs to be stopped, whether it needs to be investigated internally, something needs to change. And I'm
not sure that I
appalled,
see
I am
anything in here
appalled,
that this
Mr.
looks
Erb,
like
that you
it's
would
a-
not read
I'm not
those
sure what.
papers.
I'm not sure.
I
what this is
understand.
about.
I don't see where this says anything of any consequence. But
Well,
that's just me.
once again, I'll open it up to the floor for anyone that would like to address council. This is your turn to address it, and I would ask that you would please address your comments professionally and to me. State your name for the record, sir. And did you sign in?
Monroeville.
And did you sign in, Lou?
Yeah, you did. Yes, I did sign. I certainly don't want to rehash about anything about me being shut down at the meeting, Mayor. But I do have to make one comment about it. It's over. That's fine. ACLU will handle it, I hope. But it just seemed odd to me, and it was mentioned to me by several residents, the night that I was shut down, that Lois here, right before that happened, asked you to go out of turn so she could speak out of order of council, because she didn't know how long she could last at the meeting because she wasn't feeling well. And she commented on several things relevant to the election, got her points across about the Senior Citizen Center, making some points over there and stuff. But she stuck around. She was quite bubbly after that. I didn't see any illness coming on.
Really?
And within 2 minutes of that, I was shut down. Now, I would say, as a police officer, a former police officer, I would say that's somewhat like circumstantial evidence, but very strong. And I think that whole thing was prearranged. That if I started talking about what I was going to talk about, and I think they knew who I was going to go after that night because of the previous week, and they just shut me down. That's all I want to say about it. I'm also getting quite a few comments, because I meet a lot of people every day. I walk 30 miles a week. And a lot of people's mentioned to me about some of the news coverage we get here in Monroeville. Specifically, news coverage by Annie Siebert of the Post-Gazette.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
it's not appropriate to comment on the...
I'm going to disagree with, this is this man's right, and I'm not going to stop him. This is his First Amendment rights to say whatever he wants, and that's the end of that discussion.
Is defamatory, it possibly could be, I'm not putting a prediction on.
Then that's something that if it's something defamatory, he'll have to face that then. But this is his right to speak.
Defamatory
I keep
about it.
saying that to everybody. Is everybody clear? This is your First Amendment rights.
I just haven't.
This has nothing to do with this council. This has everything to do with the Tribune Review or the Post-Gazette. And if
This
you
is
have a
his
problem
time
with
to
the Tribune
address
Review
council
or the
on
Post-Gazette,
any
you should
issue that
address
he wants to
them.
do. Herb, you are out of line.
I'm not out of line.
Well, you are out of line as far as this chair is concerned. Continue.
My comment is this, and it's been commented to me, and it's my opinion, that Mrs. Siebert, or Miss Siebert, whatever she is, seems to side with the 4 members of council that's in power here and Miss McKinney. And I think it's an obligation by a journalist to be fair and impartial. And her views are very slanted and one-sided. And that's all I want to say about it.
Yeah, wonderful.
That's exactly why I stopped getting the Post-Gazette seven years ago. Next thing I want to comment on tonight is a man that comes here every week, or every month, twice a month. Matter of fact, he's sitting back in the audience back here, the heavy-set gentleman back here in the back, and I'm being very generous by that comment.
Again, Mr. Mayor, this is not a place for people to attack members of the public.
Get to
I'm
your
speaking,
point, Lou.
I don't want to hear him again.
You know what, I'm not going to motion to cancel, or to adjourn, but I don't have to sit and listen to this. I don't get paid enough
then
to
leave.
listen to this, and I'm going to.
Go ahead.
Well, the decorum
Don't let the
that
door
we
hit
talked
you.
about in ordinance number 2482, and if you'd like to review that ordinance, Mayor, I think would
Lois, you
address the
are out
type
of
of
line. I'm
decorum.
not going to stop a resident from having to say,
I'm
I
attacking
don't,
another
didn't like,
resident.
I agree
No.
with one thing.
He can go on
that,
with
Lou,
all the
you can bring up
inflammatory
your
remarks.
issues.
All he wants to
Will you
say.
let me finish,
Lois,
Lois?
this is facts right
And-
here.
And Mayor, who's he directing this to?
To me. Lou, if you have facts or any other issue, please don't, again, let's try to keep it professional. I don't like attacks on anybody, so if you have points to make, please make them.
All right, Mr. Yacom is costing Monroeville a lot of taxpayers' money, and I want to tell you how. He has filed over 75 right to know requests in the last 2 years. Over 75. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 right now. He has filed them with 17 different departments in this community. The mayor, council, tax collector, civil service commission, municipal manager, police chief, assistant police chief, dispatchers, detectives, director of risk management, Director of Building and Planning, Director of Finance and Personnel, Building Inspectors, Building Planning Staff, Fire Chiefs, Municipal Solicitor's Office. He's filed all these requests, and the only thing he ever does is cause innuendo and controversy to keep the pot stirred politically in this town. And I think it's a shame, and I only have the figures on 2 of those departments. And the money expended by the people that have to answer all these requests and do the background information and give them that information has cost over $13,000, and that's 2 out of 17. So do the math. This man should be ashamed that he's spending taxpayers' money to do this in this community, and it should come to an end. And I think the municipal manager could probably stop this. There's currently a bill in Harrisburg right now. I'm going to ask Representative Mark Kozik and Senator
Brewster.
What's our senator? Brewster. And it's HB number 61 was by Kerry Benninghoff, who's a state rep. He's sponsoring this bill to amend the right to know law. And it's to make people, if they file vexatious and frivolous requests, that they have to pay whatever the cost is to obtain that information. And that would be a very good thing that happens to this man back here. He asks people to come into his store every week and shop down in Pitcairn, and he's out spending taxpayers' money like it's nothing. Well, that offends me, and I think it offends every taxpayer in this community. So knock it off, John. That's all I have.
Once again, would anybody like to address council? This is certainly your time to address council. Seeing none, we'll move over to our reports of our officials. Lynette, you do have the largest agenda.
Yes, the first item is council's permission to place a half-page advertisement in the 2013 Gateway Football Program booklet in the amount of $75.
Motion on the floor. We did discuss this at our work session.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Lynette, if you would.
Yes, the second item is council's permission to place a street light at the intersection of South Thompson Run Road and Old William Penn Highway. There is a map in your packet. This was a request from the Temple in Penn Hills for a light. It's at the very top of the page on the right-hand side.
Again, this was discussed at length at our work session. Motion on the floor.
I just have one question.
Sure. Let's get a motion in a second.
That's fine.
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Go ahead, Vern.
If, this is a traffic control device and a traffic calming device, is that correct, Mr. Yugas?
I would not define it as that. It's just a street light. It's a street light, not a regulatory sign.
Oh, a street light, I'm sorry. I
Yeah, just a light
I'm
up the
thinking-
area.
And I believe there's no cost to put them up there, it's just a cost, and it's just a monthly
Yeah, it's
figure
approximately
based on the
Right, right.
number we
$30+
have. It's not metered.
per month. Yeah.
That's my only question.
Any other comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Lynette, if you would.
The third item is council's permission to place a quarter-page advertisement in the 2013 Demi Brie Kusha Awareness Organization Program booklet in the amount of $50.
Again, we did discuss this at length, council. Any other question? Oh, no, motion on the floor. I'm
Motion to
sorry.
approve.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Lynette, if you would.
Yes, the fourth item we discussed in detail on Tuesday evening about the old Police Explorer being switched over to number 3 Fire Company for the fire chief. I know council kind of gave me a nod on Tuesday but I wanted to have something actually in the minutes that you were approving this being.
Move to approve.
Second.
Has anyone brought up any need for the vehicle in between that time and now?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye?
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Thank you, Lynette.
Actually, I have one more, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's right. I
yeah.
apologize.
Normally, we close the agenda at our work session, but today I received from the Garden City Swim Club a request for the 44th Monroeville Annual Invitation. It's when all of the swim clubs come together in Monroeville. It's this Saturday. I'm asking for council to permission for a $75 half-page ad that we could get over to them to be included in their program booklet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions?
I would add to that, please, everyone, support your neighborhood pools.
Amen. Any other comments, council? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Erb?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Drumheller?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mrs. Allison?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye?
Mr. Ramsey?
Aye.
Thank you, Lynette. Bob, any other words of wisdom?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Clarence, we'll start off with you.
I'll fall asleep. I have nothing.
Steve?
I'd like to thank the 4th of July Committee. I think they did a great job on the parade, and it was a wonderful turnout,
You're here.
and that's all I have.
Diane?
Yeah, on behalf of the CVB, again, at the Monroeville Convention Center, we have during the month of July, Greenberg's Train and Toy Show that is a continual exhibitor. They will be there on July 13th and 14th, again, $7 for adults. One-time admission for both days, and children under 12 are free. There also on July 20th will be Rubber Stamp and Scrapbook Show, $6 admission, children under 12 are free. Steel City Con will be coming back again Friday, July 26th through Sunday, July 28th. $15 per day or a 3-day pass is $25, and children under 5 are free. And there will be a gift show Friday, July 26th through July 28th, and there's no other additional information at this time. And also, I'd like to wish my husband a very happy birthday on July 28th, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
Yes. Last week, I talked about the Human Needs and Resources Advisory Board. They're active again. They're seeking input from the Monroeville residents and organizations about issues and challenges facing your organizations. You can email at hnrb@monroeville.pa.us or call 412-856-7825. Excuse me, and as I said earlier, I believe there are 3 vacancies. We're looking for some help. You can get me at my house. I'm not hard to find. And one other thing, once again, as Steve said, the committee for the 4th of July parade was great. And in my years of being around here, that's the most folks I saw on a road. That's the first time my buddy Steve, I think he ran out of candy. With that, that's all I have.
Lois?
Yes, Mayor. I have an item for our solicitor on ordinance number 2482. I think we amended this either in 2010 or 2011, and I would like to see whether or not you might look into how we might amend Rule Number 5. Rule Number 5, I would make a suggestion for review that we might add a section to it on decorum. It already says the mayor at the stated hour shall call the meeting to order. He, she, we decided to change it to he, she, shall preserve order and decorum in the office of mayor and council, decide all questions of order, and conduct the proceedings of the meeting in accordance with parliamentary rules contained in Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. Any member shall have the right to appeal from a decision of the presiding officer or to request information or question the order of business, and no appeal shall be debatable, and the appeal may be sustained by a majority of the members present. And so, we might have had a debatable issue here as to whether or not we were going to put up with the type of decorum we witnessed again. But what I'd like to do is make a suggestion so that we might amend a new rule or a new portion of that rule under decorum. And I don't want to copy verbatim what I have here, but I do have some examples, and I'd like to be able to share that with members of council so that we could possibly get this together by next month.
What was the number of that ordinance, Lois?
24.
That was 2482,
And number 5. She would like to revise.
Rule 5.
Okay.
So I appreciate it if you would look into
All right.
that and go from there. I have a couple of things just to announce. I did a lot of the senior center announcing, and I want to take the time again to remind folks about the Monroeville Arts Council Summer Concert Series. They do have an extensive air-conditioned environment concert series that's very comfortable. It's going to be in the CCAC Boyce Auditorium, Boyce Campus. It's sponsored and paid for by UPMC East with the cooperation of CCAC Boyce Campus. There's no admission charge, and there is amble-free parking. Auditorium is handicapped accessible. This has been quite popular, and the schedule this year, just want to remind folks, from 4 to 6 p.m., July 14th, Donna Bailey and her 4-piece band. July 21st, Penn Trafford Community Band. July 28th, Ron D'Amico and Friends, 2 singers plus a 4-piece band. And then from 3 to 5 on August the 4th, the East Wind Symphonic Band. And it is a great show. So that being covered, I wanted to just recap for the month of July on the food garden, the Monroeville Food Garden, and I have a couple of, actually I've got about 7 different pictures that we could put up. So we can start with the first one here. Here's the garden, this year, 2013, in the entrance gate. That's a new entrance gate that one of the volunteers put up with a welcoming garden decor, and to encourage those who want to come to see what's growing. We've gotten off to a good start this year to raise cucumbers, carrots, tomatoes, zucchini, and a variety of beans and peppers. And these are all high yield because they can service 4 food banks that are in the surrounding area. We're still waiting for a later arrival of the blueberry bushes to replace the ones that we lost this late spring, but we know that they're coming too, and we have a special section in there for it. I'll go to the next picture with you here, and here's how the inside of, if you could look, that's the top row looking in the inside of the fenced garden. And it's set up on that upper row so that when you're tending the garden, you can walk around it, and that's roofing paper that we put down, and we'll extend a little bit more over time as we border on the outside of this garden as well. What we walk on to tend is roofing paper, and a whole lot of it was donated by Jerry Moran. Maybe some of you know who Jerry Moran is. I understand he used to be the bouncer at the Holiday House, but he certainly is a roofer, and he donated a ton of roofing paper, so we're putting that down. We took advice from Penn Hills Community Garden to do that. It makes it easy. You don't have to weed. So our fencing material also that we got was deeply discounted by our Monroeville Lowe's Center. They have been great, and I wanted to acknowledge them here. The aim, again, is to make the groundhog stay on their side. And the next picture is the lower row of that garden. Well, actually, that right there is this little colorful contrast there. The landscape fabric's being used in the center of each growing row to reduce the need for the weeding and less work on people's backs when they tend to the garden and they try to weed some of those blades of grass you can see. And we'll go to the next picture. That there is if you look, their lower row where we have a variety of beans that are growing up on a trellis, and they're starting to climb that trellis now. We also have cucumbers that are being trained to go up on tomato cages, and you can see that there is wood chips in that bioswale, and that's in the center. The bioswale is a little spongy area that you can walk on, but it's designed to walk on, but also to capture water like a sponge. The garden follows a permaculture design and acts to slow down the water runoff. It saves on the water also that you need for this garden. In the next picture. Here's a nice little contrast here where the zucchini are coming in and the marigolds are... Thank you for that comment. I knew that you'd really like that. They are getting ready to do a lot of zucchini. And we've called local food banks to check up on their drop-off schedules. We checked with them this week. We let them know that we'll be rotating our deliveries. We have a schedule set up so everybody knows about it, and there are designated people who garden and who are going to be delivering to those food banks. So, and we want, we want a nice sensitive produce scale. So I'm going to put this suggestion out there, and I actually reached out to somebody today, maybe one of our partners, that might help us with getting that scale so we could weigh this very sensitively. Next picture. And if you look closely, you'll see one of the tomato varieties, and if you look at the leaf, you can see why we call it a potato top. And these tomatoes were donated by Winnie Ritter, who raised a bunch of them in her house from seed. We have other varieties of tomatoes, some that come in all at once and others that don't come in all at once. And actually that aim is to produce consistent quantities to meet the food pantry needs. We're trying to do the same thing with the beans and with the other varieties there. So we have something every week for a food bank. And next picture. Once again, we want to welcome people to come back and check out the food garden. There's a term that was coined by the USDA, and this garden is a USDA-recognized people's garden. The term I'm talking about is food insecurity, and it really means the lack of success or access to food for an active, healthy life for all household members, mostly because of an uncertain availability of nutritionally adequate food in your house. The food from this garden is organically grown, and by its color, it's nutritious. Your grandma said you need to put color on your plate. That really has to do with a lot of nutrition. A lot of things, another thing I'll mention here is about this food insecurity in households. It's not necessarily that, they have food insecurity all the time. Sometimes it reflects the household's ability to make trade-offs between important basic needs, such as housing or medical bills. And so sometimes you have the groceries and sometimes you don't. And then that's another reason to do this type of thing for the local food banks. I think that's about all we have, but I want to thank our great gardeners, our volunteers that come, Penny Morris, Georgiana and Rick Woodhull, Karen Howell, Sandy McFall, Jake Cothern, and the more recent persons who are thinking of joining us. It doesn't matter what you decide to do or how often, we welcome it, and it all goes to the food banks. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Nick.
Yes, Mayor. In Second Ward news, North American Martyrs Church is having their annual festival beginning tomorrow, July 10th through the 13th, on Haymaker Road, right beside Forbes Regional Hospital, 6 p.m. Food, rides, entertainment, raffles. It's a really nice event. They've been doing it for a few years now. They really figured out the best way to handle things. Parking is at Forbes Regional Hospital. Forbes was kind enough to allow patrons of the festival to park in their lots, and there's a shuttle service to go over to the festival, or you can certainly walk the back way. So North American Martyrs Festival starting tomorrow, 6 p.m. through Saturday. It's a great event, so hopefully the weather cooperates for them. Upcoming through the Monroeville Parks and Recreation Department, their annual summer concert series, sponsored by UPMC East. Sunday, July 21st, is a band by the name of The Holidays. They are an oldies group. It says toe-tapping oldies group. That wasn't my description of it, but they are an oldies group. And it should be a good time.
Fulkerson would know that.
6:30 p.m. to 8:30 at the Monroeville Community Park at the amphitheater. Once again, we have a beautiful amphitheater for no one has ever been out to the community park, so please come out July 21st, Sunday, to see The Holidays. And as mentioned before, the 4th of July committee did a wonderful job. Thanks to them, thanks to all the residents that came out, all the volunteers that made it a wonderful event on the 4th. And lastly, I did have an opportunity to read through the report. There was of much discussion. I certainly will keep my comments to a minimum about it, but I did have some concerns and maybe some disappointment when reading it. When we had our executive session, I was under the impression that that report was the final report that was going to be going to Health and Human Services. Just to get everyone on the same page, Health and Human Services is the governing body, the federal body that the complaint was made to, and they're the federal body who then investigates to see if that complaint is a valid complaint. We received a letter from them March 20th. Council received it on the 27th. And in that is a packet, is a list of 10 different things. I'll read through them very briefly. I'm going to actually, I'll minimize them, but just give people an idea. They asked for the following: documentation of any investigation that occurred, documentation of any actions that they took to address the incident, the Monroeville's relevant privacy policy, our recent risk analysis regarding the storage of this information, evidence of physical safeguards, a copy of the covered entity's privacy and security awareness, a copy of the notification of the breach sent, and this goes on. There's 10 different things. There's a laundry list of 10 things that we needed to give to them. Then Health and Human Services, the governing body, looks through that, and then they determine if the complaint is valid or not, and they make their determination. So I'm still holding to the stance that I felt that we could have done this in-house through our manager and through our solicitor, instead of spending the money that we're spending currently. And I will talk about that at a later time. However, my main concern at this point is I would like to see this list of 10 things, or I would like council to see this list of 10 things, and would task the manager to see what Mr. Bresnahan and Mr. Stone, what their plan is, to have this list. I thought that this was already what was in the report, but it was not. The report was just the investigation that we paid to have done. So, Mrs. McKinney, if you could have Dickie McCamey update us on what's going on, where they are with contacting Health and Human Services, and then, more importantly, I think council has a right to see actually all 10 of these items, even if we can just see, okay, here's the binder that has our privacy policy, this is our computer, this is our this is our that, because we haven't done it this time. So that was my major concern with this report that I read, and if you could make that happen, that'd be great.
Yeah, just so, in reference to when you were requesting the report last time, Harlan Stone had sent the email regarding not releasing the report, and he had indicated in there, we are in the middle of preparing our report to HHS, so that was dated June 26th, so I would think it would be forthcoming.
Okay, as soon as you get it, or any other notifications from them, could you
Absolutely.
please forward those emails
Forwarded
to us, or
everything.
any kind
We
of...
haven't received anything from them since the June 26th email. And you did receive that one, you were CC'd on it.
Okay, but nothing else has come from their office since
No.
then? Okay. And I did say this at the executive session, I followed up with an email as well. From this point on, if you could let us know of
Absolutely.
any kind of
Nothing-
correspondence with
Nothing has
Dickie
occurred.
McCamey.
I have not had a phone call or an email or anything from their office
Okay.
since the June 26th that they said they're in the middle of preparing the report.
Okay, and I'm certainly one council person, but I would request that you contact them and see what is the holdup with everything. Because now we are getting into July, almost mid-July. We just received the bill for the end of May. I don't have the figure in front of me, but I believe it was around $11,000. So we still have all of June to receive. We have not received that bill yet, and now the clock's ticking into July. So if we could maybe please get this wrapped up and make that happen. And that is all I have for this evening, Mayor.
I was going to keep it very brief, but I do have to comment now. Number one, our own solicitor said that we needed to hire outside counsel. We hired outside counsel because our solicitor stated we needed to get outside counsel. This was not an arbitrary decision. Number two, HHS is the final arbiter of whatever is going to happen. Part of the reason I haven't read it and have not even opened it is because our solicitor advised us that HHS would be the one that would make the final decision. There's no action item for me. I have no action item, therefore, it's a lot of pages to read at this point when a federal government agency will be making a final determination. Therefore, it was unnecessary for me to get a packet. I will be returning the unopened packet that I have to the municipality, and I will be, if I choose to read it before HHS rules, I will come to the municipality as our solicitor had advised. Part of the reason that they advised us not to receive it, not to comment, it was exactly what has just happened. We've now commented on that material. And that specifically has an impact on our collective executive privilege under the law. And that's my concern, is that we have now taken this and now you've made an entire report based on reading that report, and that harms our legal position.
I did not discuss anything that was in the report.
You discussed the executive session, you discussed this report, and that's precisely, we need to let this finish itself. The federal government will determine when this is a final and complete situation. As far as the direction, that can be done in an executive session. Because it's informational, it's not policy, and it would preserve our executive privilege. So with that, get home before the rain floods you out. Sounds like it's about to storm pretty heavily. So, Mr. Mayor.
Before I go to my report, I have a few items. I did ask our solicitor, so Bob, if you would, on the comments made by Dr. Griesbach, did he in fact violate the executive or the attorney-client privilege that was extended to all of council?
Well, let me just say that each councilman can have their own individual notion about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. I respect Mr. Erb's comments. I respect Dr. Griesbach's comments. Nothing that Dr. Griesbach commented on, aside from maybe raising the sensitivity of Mr. Erb, is anything that would cause harm to fall on Monroeville. However, and furthermore, what he was talking about is the processes that Monroeville maintains in their own individual administrative responsibilities, subject to review by the appropriate parties. Those documents very well may be public records. Some of them may not be. I don't know, but I'm not going to get in a position where I'm saying one councilman's right and one councilman's wrong in this particular idea, because they both have their individual right to make their comments. They made them. Nothing bad happened from them. Let's move on.
Thank you, Bob. First off, I do want to thank the 4th of July committee, and in particular Kathy Carlitz and Kathy Forrest. And for those of you who don't know, Kathy Forrest has been on the 4th of July parade committee for 47 years. So I think she certainly deserves kudos. And her late husband obviously served all the way up until his last year. So Kathy, to you and your family, and to everybody on the committee, we do thank you. And I do agree, there was a tremendous amount of people out there, more than in my 6 years that I've been as the mayor, have never seen, and very glad to see that you certainly support that endeavor. In regards to the 2482 and the decorum, I honestly say every meeting I'm going to try and not comment on anything other than the items that are before us. But as you well know, every meeting there seems to be some controversy. As far as the decorum goes, and I agree that there should be no comments directed at an individual. Certainly you can take shots, as far as I'm concerned, at anybody sitting up here. When you choose to sit in a public office, you will get criticism. They criticize the President of the United States all the way down to our lowly level, every day. As far as decorum goes, some of my colleagues on council, they create the disruption by their interrupting, making loud comments saying they shouldn't be doing this and they shouldn't be doing that. And again, if I am wrong, which I don't believe I am, I still think every one of you have a right to address, especially on public comment section, anything that is on your mind. Now, if I am wrong, I will wait for an opinion from our solicitor, and I will request that for next month. I still think you have a First Amendment right to say just about, obviously within reason, to address anything you want to address in front of council. In regards to the budget, we just found out again last week by Mr. Fulkerson that we have a $400,000 deficit that we were not aware of. And that has to do with all the appeals that have gone on, in addition to the $6 million. Now, take into account with all of our expenditures in regards to the pending investigation. We don't know where that number's going to be. We also paid out a tremendous amount of money in regards to severance packages. I am glad to say that this council has tabled both of those transfer items and take a better look. Now, I want to put a little caveat onto that. I realize one of them has to do with our radio system for our police department. In checking around with other departments, yes, we definitely have some dead spots. But guess what? The county does as well. They have more than we have. Everybody keeps mentioning how wonderful the county is. Yes, they provide a good service, but believe me, they have bigger and more dead spots than we do. And if we can fix that system without spending enormous amounts of money, we need to do that. Apparently, my understanding after talking to some of the fire chiefs, and in particular in one, we basically have an agreement with the Staley, who takes care of that system, to go over it and look at the entire system and tell us exactly what we can do. If they tell us this whole system's scrap, then we don't have a choice. But there are other issues that we have not addressed yet. So kudos to all of council who supported tabling that. We are spending way more money than we will ever have. If we can use that money from that 09 budget, or I should say 08 to 10, to help pay off some of that $400,000 we just found out about, or anything else that we can reduce that deficit on, that's a much smarter idea. But again, if we need to use that money to really fix that police frequency situation, I'll be the first to say amen. But let's at least find out from Staley before we jump on that. Lastly, I said, and Joe, if you'll put my contact information up there, I've asked for 2 residents from every ward to please contact me by either my telephone number, which is the office up here, or my email. I am still looking for 2 volunteers from every ward to assist me and Mr. Shufo in regards to looking at each of our, not just our residential areas, but the business areas as well, on properties that are not being upkept, abandoned properties, absent landlords, and et cetera. Now, if you would please contact me at either one of these venues, please, we really do need your input, we need your help. We only have 2 code enforcement officers, okay, that have to cover the entire municipality. What I intend on doing, and it's going to take, and Mark and I had talked about this, about 4 to 6 weeks to get together and put some guidelines for all of us. I intend on inviting HUD. I intend on inviting any state officials, obviously Senator Brewster, Representative Mark Kozik, and obviously Congressman Mike Doyle and any of their expertise in that area as well as I'll talk to Rich Fitzgerald. What I want to do is clean Monroeville up. Again, as I stated before a couple of times, in my travels, I'm very disappointed to say we have some folks that are just not keeping up with our ordinances. And you know what that does for all of us? It hurts all of Monroeville. It hurts your property, it hurts my property. I keep up my stuff. I'm sure everybody sitting here keeps up all your stuff. I think it's fair that we certainly expect that from everybody. Now, if you're a senior and have disabilities, there are help. You have Habitat for Humanity. There are several other organizations that we can tap into if you truly do need help. So please don't take this as a negative for anybody that has issues that they can't keep up with it, be it financial and or a disability. We are looking to help We want to keep Monroeville strong. The better we can keep up our wards, our business districts, all our residential areas, the better off Monroeville will be. Now, with that, lastly, I would like to ask council for an executive session for personnel reasons.
Make a motion to go into executive session for personnel reasons.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to an executive session. Thank you for your time.